Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Uncle Sam's Submarines.
I am the mail orderly aboard, and for a while my job was pretty tough with all the packages and mail for the crew. How did you make out, Joe?
Swell. Enough cigarettes to last 2 months and a picture of my best gal.
And you, Swede?
Well, I got a big fruitcake from home, but made the mistake of opening it up in the mess room.
And how about you, Frenchie?
You know, the little woman is living back on the East Coast. Well, I got a card saying, Merry Christmas. Please send check. Rent overdue.
Boy, things must be pretty tough back there.
Boy, you said it.
How about you, Chief?
Well, the best package all of us could get right now is a big, fat Jap cruiser.
Right in hell, that's right. Yes, sir. Did you see those turkeys Cookie is working on in the galley?
Yeah, and all the trimmings, too. Here we go again.
Take her down. Level off at periscope depth. Battle station submerged.
Hey, Doc, what'd you see up there?
Boy, there's a big fat Jap cruiser dead ahead.
We in the Navy are mighty proud of what our buddies in the Marines and the Army have been doing in the Southwest Pacific. So from this submarine, let us go across the Pacific to New Guinea.
Come in, New Guinea.
Say, we're mighty sorry the boys in New Guinea can't hear us right now. We had them on the line just a moment ago, and this is the message they sent us. It's Christmas Day here in New Guinea. All over this island, American and Australian troops, together with their native helpers, have managed to observe the holiday to the best of their ability. Some were able to sing a carol or two last night, and a surprising number contrived to attend the religious services held last night and still being conducted today from the north bank of the Massawong River to the bomb-scarred chapels of Port Moresby. But everyone found time to open his presents and read his mail. Other than these activities, Christmas on New Guinea is a case of it being Saturday and another day of war. Trucks going toward or coming back from the war. Planes are either going out or returning from combat missions. And every once in a while, a line of natives passes by, silent and intent on holding up their end of the fight. I wish you had a chance to talk to some of our boys out here. There is Staff Sergeant Paul Blasewitz, formerly the Bronx of New York City, and now with the Troop Carrier Command. Blasewitz is a tail gunner in a flying fortress. Only they don't carry bombs, they carry freight. They call them fighting freighters because that's where they haul things they've also got to be able to fight. This is his second Christmas out here, but he says this one is a lot better than last year because they're better organized for things like Christmas. For instance, this morning he made his usual run, but by the time we hauled some stuff over to the boys at Arroway, that's over on New Britain, and the Japs didn't give us any trouble at all. Just now, Blasewitz has taken it easy, waiting for the next job to come along. And then there are the Australians down here. Boy, what a bunch of fighting men. Just now, many of them are spending their Christmas up in the Ramu Valley. You know, they've got a funny custom in the Australian Army. All of the officers roll up their sleeves and serve the Christmas dinner to the enlisted men. And that's going on today wherever the Aussies are fighting. And that's what's happening out here in New Guinea. We know that all you people back home are working with all your might to make such a broadcast as this completely unnecessary on Christmas Day of 1944. And that's the message. Well, believe me, fellas, we can't wait till the American forces return to the United States, but we realize there still is a big job ahead. A very big job to be done on both sides of the war and home fronts, and the sooner we finish both jobs, the sooner our boys will come home.
You know, Robin, the Navy is doing a huge share of that job, too.
Boy, you can say that again, Bing. Let's cut in on Christmas Eve doings on one of Uncle Sam's mighty battle wagons.
To greet the holy night that gave the world its Christmas rose, its King of love and light.
This is Christmas Eve with the Blue Jackets aboard a United States battleship. Listen while Blue Jacket McMillan, Seaman First Class, is singing Jesu Bambino for the ship's crew.
Come, let us adore him. Let let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
All this is taking place down in crew's quarters with the men gathered around their tree. It's a swell party that's been going on for some time, and there's lots more to come. Here's Chester William Smith, who has been emceeing the fun for the crew. Chet, are the boys having a good time?
Yes, sir.
Did the men get all their packages and mail from home?
You bet. And all those packages and all that mail made it a great Christmas.
Okay, fella. We know you're going to top it all off with a grand turkey dinner tomorrow, but right now, let's get back over there with the band and sailing, sailing. From this big battle wagon, we take you to the boys guarding our lifeline on the big ditch at Panama.
This is Corporal Harvey Chester speaking from Panama. With me is Corporal Wesley Parsons, one of the men who carved out the jungle positions protecting the canal. What are the boys doing at your position tonight, Wes?
100% of them are thinking about Christmas back home.
Well, so am I, but that's not all, I hope.
No, as a matter of fact, the boys are having a Christmas dance right now. For the first time since we put in that position, there are some girls there.
I'll bet that Christmas party is different from the ones back home.
It sure is. Instead of snow on the ground, we have green grass. There's a warm breeze and the birds are singing.
Oh, how about Christmas services, Wes?
There aren't enough chaplains to go to all positions, but we'll hear the midnight service over the radio.
Turkey dinner tomorrow?
You bet, with all the trimmings.
I'm going to wish a Merry Christmas to my folks in Charleston, West Virginia, Wes.
Where are yours? Detroit, Michigan. Merry Christmas.
From the jungles of Panama, and with a Christmas greeting to all, we take you to Hawaii.
This is Sergeant Merle Miller of the United States Army speaking from the Central Pacific area. Naturally, our thoughts turn toward home on this third Christmas Eve since Pearl Harbor, and all of us wish we could be with our families and friends. We're not exactly without friends, but no matter how well you get along with your buddies, they don't take the place of the folks you've left behind. If opening gifts and having a good dinner were all, Christmas overseas would leave little to be desired, but of course there's more to it than that. However, there's going to be plenty of turkey all around, and most of us already have received a generous stack of mail from home. Summing up our observation of the news from the home front, we wonder if victory couldn't be stepped up if there was less time spent on small-town politics, labor disputes, and ballyhoo. We're not kicking, we just wonder. Over here, where all work is considered essential war work, the activities of the civilian and military population are not too widely separated. We still have a 10 o'clock curfew and blackout and early closing hours in town. Taking everything into consideration, we're pretty well off.
That was Sergeant Merle Miller, Bureau Chief of Yanks Pacific Edition. Standing by at a vantage point overlooking Pearl Harbor is Marine Private First Class Harry A. Jackson. This 19-year-old Marine from Pitchfork, Wyoming, was in the first wave that stormed the beaches of Tarawa in the Gilberts. Come in, Private Jackson.
Since December 7th, 1941, when Christmas was all but totally blacked out, Pearl Harbor is slowly but surely being avenged. Coral Sea, Midway, Guadalcanal, Kiska, and Attu. And now the Gilberts. And after you've been through Tarawa, you begin to realize, maybe for the first time in your life, what Christmas is all about. It's a lot more important to you. And I don't mean just getting presents either. On Tarawa, you don't think a hell of a lot about Christmas. But on Christmas, you think a hell of a lot about Tarawa. Us fellas that are fighting out this way are backed by a vast civilian force of skilled workers at Pearl Harbor, whose job it is to keep us and our gear fit to fight. These Pearl Harbor workers are able to take time out this Christmas to celebrate the birth of him who promised peace on earth. But the pause this Christmas will be a brief one, because every fighting one of us is on the road that leads to Tokyo, and Tokyo knows we're on the way. From Pearl Harbor, where the stars and stripes still fly, and the Christmas tree lights are on again, it's a Merry Christmas to you all at home.
2,000 years ago, a star shone down over Bethlehem, and the angels heralded peace on earth, goodwill to men. Today there is no peace, and goodwill is shriveled in the flame and smoke of battle, in the hatred and greed of men. Today the star of Bethlehem shines down on gleaming bayonets, and the three wise men no longer roam the plains of Judea, bearing gifts and ointments. Today there are tanks bearing death and destruction, stalking the plains of the earth in search of human prey. And yet, the star still shines over Bethlehem, and there are still men of goodwill in every nook and corner of the earth, fighting and praying that peace may be restored to the world, that men may learn how to live with one another in peace and tranquility, that their children may walk in the majesty of the Lord, unafraid and unopposed. We take you now to Bethlehem, where the star and promise shine forth as they did 2,000 years ago.
It's 4 in the morning here, so we're speaking to you from Christmas Day, after the traditional services at Bethlehem, which marked again the birth night of our Savior. Here with me are Chaplain James A. Carey and two typical American soldiers, Sergeant Walter Bowler of Brooklyn and Sergeant Earl Getchoff of Detroit. They're speaking to you from the Holy Land as representatives of the American Army in the Middle East. Earl, will you go first?
Tonight, I knelt with 60 other American boys on the site of the stable where Christ was born. An American chaplain officiated at a mass there. It was only one of many such services, but it was the first participation of the American Army in the Bethlehem ceremony.
It certainly was fine, wasn't it, Earl? I kept remembering, as I watched the ceremonies in the church of the Nativity, that Christmas had been celebrated there for 1,600 years.
Me too, Walter. It's been a Christmas Eve I'll never forget. The church was filled with uniformed men, Americans, British and Polish. So I knew there was still a war on, but somehow or other I felt there would soon be peace on earth again.
And you, Chaplain Carey?
My only viewpoint now springs from my job as Chief of Middle East Chaplain. I want to tell all you people back home that some of your boys have had a very fine experience. It seems to me that they will be finer men and finer Americans for having made this pilgrimage to the birthplace of our Lord.
And now, as the Star of Bethlehem shines down, the Middle East Armed Forces return you to the United States.
Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the
Earlier today, the President delivered an important address to many of our people stationed overseas and to those of us at home. In order that those who didn't hear his message may have an opportunity to hear it, we present a recording of that speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My friends, I have recently returned from extensive journeyings in the region of the Mediterranean and as far as the borders of Russia. I have conferred with the leaders of Britain and Russia and China on military matters of the present, especially on